Kamp podcast, baby. We got a very special treat today, Ryan. Who do we got on the pod today?
We have Gonzo Gonzalez, or as Andy liked to call Mark.
Yeah. Marcus. He'd always call me Marcus.
Marcus. He would say Marcus.
So Gonzo is our band manager. Dad since we were like 17 years old. Yeah.
It's been 11 years.
11?
Yeah.
That's all?
That's all?
11 and a half. Well, I mean, 11 and a half managing, but working with you guys from the start. So
we're pieces of shit that we never had a 10-year celebration of Gonzo's management for Katastro.
Oh, that's pretty fucked up. But
we have all these. Yeah.
But the way you treated us in the beginning, you know.
Hey, I think it worked. It worked, didn't it?
He did get that new car last year, so that's like that was a celebration. Oh man, so yeah, we have our manager Gonzo Gonzalez on here. Very happy to have you here, Mr. Mark.
Bro, it's been 11 years.
Yeah, 11 years managing, but working with you guys the whole time, pretty much. Do you remember when the first Dirty Head show? What year that was? I don't remember.
It was 2000 and. Like 2008. It was right after we graduated high school where you got us a Dirty Head show. I forget who they were playing with, but it was at the clubhouse. And I think I'm not kidding, I think there was like 15, 20 people at that show.
No, not when you guys brought it. You guys brought a shitload of people.
Well, I'm saying like at the end of the night.
No, that was the beginning of the Dirty Heads. And that's what I used to do is just stack it and put some bands in just to bring people in. And it was definitely at the beginning for sure. It was
that was their first out of state show, I think.
No, not at all.
This was before Ryan joined the band.
Yes, because the first show that you guys did a 5-piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
dark times.
Yeah.
Dark times for Ryan.
It was the first time you came in and you guys killed it, and then I got you guys on the second time, and I remember you guys killed the first time, and the second time you guys sold like 19 tickets, I think.
We got cocky, dude.
And I remember the bass player walked up and he's like, and I'm like, oh, you guys kind of blew it, man. He's like, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah.
Kenny,
I'm like,
Kenny.
Great.
Damn. Yeah, you really, because our first relationship with you was just a promoter, and you were kind of throwing all the shows in the scene in Arizona at Clubhouse. And were you doing much at Marquee back then or no?
I was still doing marquee shows. Just I was the only one back then. Back then it was just, the marquee and house did it, and then me and Donnie would throw shows together. We do the local showcase is what we do, and to put a bunch of bands on and get people in there. It was cool. You know what I mean?
Okay, if we're gonna start, let's start from the very beginning.
Yeah,
we really should, because this has been a long road, and not many bands have a manager that sticks with them for this long. So props to you for dealing with our.
Oh, they usually get fired before now, so you've done a
trust
good
me. I thought I was
job.
getting fired 3 or 4 times. So.
we were thinking about firing you today on the podcast, but we thought that would be kind of fun.
That'd be the fucking icing on the cake for sure.
So the first thing I remember about Gonzo was us getting the show at the clubhouse. And I believe Zach Yosh got us in touch with you. He was our manager at the time. And he's like, hey, I got this promoter that wants to put you guys on this show. And, he was just trying to get us different shows and stuff.
What I actually did was I threw just a post on MySpace saying I needed an opener for the Dirty Head show.
And we're 17 at the time.
Yeah, and Zach hit me up. He's like, dude, I got a band I'm working with, a young band. They're still in high school and stuff. So,
yeah. So we get this show, and you gave us... I don't know, like a couple hundred tickets, probably 150.
It's just 100.
Just 100 tickets. And I remember you being very vocal about like, you guys need to sell these tickets. Yeah. Like if you want to play shows, you got to sell tickets. And I remember immediately being very intimidated and being scared and being like, I remember telling the band like, go, we got to like really sell some tickets. It wasn't hard though for us to get, that was our first show. And you and Andy were a part of a very big friend group in high school. So, this first show we do with Dirty Heads, we sell all the 100 tickets, and you were probably like, what? Who is this band? Like, how are they bringing this many kids?
You brought a lot of people and a lot of pretty people.
Yeah.
it was definitely different from your normal reggae show of people coming in. So,
yeah,
it was cool.
So, so we play that show with the Dirty Heads. That was our first time meeting the Dirty Heads. And, I remember them pulling up in a van and a trailer, and all of us immediately being like, oh, this is so sick. Like they're a touring band, And that was when they were signed to Universal or like Warner. And they had a DJ. It was only, the band was very stripped. It was just Maddie on drums, and they had a DJ.
No.
It was Jared and Duddy, right?
No, Maddie wasn't in the band yet.
Oh, really?
It was just a DJ, and then they bring in a bass player, random bass player.
You're right. So
That's
it was
a
Jared,
weird
Duddy.
combo, just bassist and DJ.
It was badass though. I mean, the shows were great, you know. And Rocky Rock, right? What is his name?
I don't know.
Yeah, Rocky Rock. He was badass. He was awesome, and he was affiliated with the Black Eyed Peas, so he was a lot of that whole community as well. So it was dope. I mean, it hit hard. You know what I mean? With the tracks and everything and the DJ situation. So I thought it was cool as hell. And then they kind of randomly started changing it up, and that's when they brought Maddie in. I think the second show. But I had been doing shows with them for a minute. We had put them at the clubhouse. Actually, the very first time they ever played and where I saw them was at the Club Tattoo 10-year anniversary party. They played because Cheese, their manager, and Sean were good friends, and Chester, they all played in a band, just like a side band. Yeah, and they just play a bunch of covers and stuff. So
maybe for like the people that don't know what a promoter is, because at the time that was your main gig. Like you're promoting a lot of shows. How do you explain what a promoter does?
Well, back then, the kind of promoter I guess it was me and Donnie. So, I'd bring in the bands, we'd get them all booked, we'd get the, artwork done, just hound them to make sure they're selling tickets. Yeah. And just put the show together and just promote it. You know what I mean? Back then it was, I don't know, promoting on MySpace was kind of cool. You know what I mean? It was easier. It was able to just get it out to everybody and everybody see it. And it was just push it. And, I had a little bit of ties with 103.9 at the time. So we'd get, I'd buy radio ads too.
I remember that. I remember you getting us.
I forgot about 103.9.
I remember on the early days, you getting us flyers that had like their name on it. And then they'd have a tent set up in front of the venue, right? Yeah. Where they'd be like promoting it too. And like we'd get shouts, on the radio that like Katastro's at the clubhouse, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, dude, it was cool for myself just to have a show that I was a part of, Zone Entertainment Presents. So hearing it on the radio was cool as hell, And then we're able to put all the band's names up and stuff. So yeah. One trick I had is like, I think you guys played some OPM shows as well.
That's true.
That. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember
and the thing about that is I'd buy the radio for that week and they'd run for 3 days, a bunch of just 30-second ads. And I text Robin Nash and I'm like, hey, will you throw OPM on? Because OPM had that song, Heaven is a Half Pike. So it did really well on radio. So she'd always play it and then she'd talk about it.
Wait, how's that song go?
If I die before I wake.
Yeah, that sounds good.
In heaven, I can skate. Oh, I remember that song, dude.
So I do that and just promote it best I can. So it was awesome. I love the early 2000s throwing shows. It was just a whole different vibe. Bands worked harder back then.
For sure.
And that's one of the reasons when I started managing you guys, I was still doing it. And then I just kind of gave up because a lot of other smaller venues and just like bars would bring bands in and they just pay them. So everybody stopped working and just were taking, now we can't take that show. We got another one. We're getting $250 here. They'd rather, you know what I mean? So
instead of take the small guarantee than, what they can make up.
You've like really hammered into us the fear of not selling enough tickets, and we would just go to any gas station. I remember like putting my personal phone number on Facebook, and like random people would start, like as the band got like a little bit bigger, like people would start showing up at my job at Starbucks and being like, you look nice today. And I'd be like, what the fuck is going on? But it's like we had to sell all these tickets, and then that's what kind of got us into better shows. So every time, we bring a ton of people for the Dirty Heads, next time they came into town, we get thrown on the Dirty Heads show. And as they went from, not bringing a ton of people to a huge fucking band, and that brought us so much more opportunity. But it was mostly from, your early connections with their management and doing all those small shows in Arizona that turned into all those bands kind of took off, where it was like Iration way back in the early day. I remember we opened up for Dirty Heads once. Iration was on the show and they missed it because somebody got arrested for weed at the Yuma border coming over. Yeah, I mean, like,
and they played last. They closed the show. They didn't miss it. They closed it.
So if we rewind, so we play that first show, we sell 100 tickets. Gonzo gives us another show, and what you said, we sold 19.
Yeah,
we did something bad. So that was probably the time where I have a very specific memory, and I guarantee you this is in that exact time period of this. Me and Andy are working at Kids Club together. So me and Andy are trapped.
Where my son used to go to as well.
We're trapped in this room with a bunch of 13 3 and 4 year old kids screaming, and I'm getting calls nonstop from you, and I am leaving periodically be like, yeah, I need to go to the bathroom. and I'm talking to you on the phone, hiding in the bathroom at Kids Club. And I remember you telling me this. It scared the shit out of me. You're like, you need to sell those tickets. If you guys don't sell the rest of those tickets, you're going to end up like all these other local bands that don't have a fan base, that aren't doing this. And like, I remember at the time thinking like, oh, this guy's such an asshole. And I go to the band and I'm like, you guys, we have to sell tickets or this guy's going to kill us. Like we gotta sell these tickets. And now, like what Ryan just said, looking back on how you pushed us to literally build a fan base by putting ourselves out there, posting our numbers online, like we would have never done that if it wasn't for your like just pushing at us to like, hey, let's get these tickets sold. Let's do this.
Well, and those early shows are what kind of put us in the scene, opening for Dirty Heads and Iration.
100%. And a lot of people don't know this just because, managers kind of live this like secret life that's behind social media and they're not always promoting themselves out there. And you were one of the big reasons why Dirty Heads was like, you were throwing all those Dirty Heads shows as they were growing and building. And then the whole K-Rock thing happened and they exploded. And that's when things really changed. But you were, throwing their shows while they were growing in Arizona. And every time they'd come play here, Katastro would be on those shows. So,
yeah, no, definitely the beginning of that. I mean, Phoenix was definitely, I don't even say Phoenix. It was Tempe. Tempe was their second biggest market next to Huntington Beach. So it was cool. I got them a lot of cool things. It was cool. It was different to work with them, working with Cheese, which their manager I've known almost 30 years now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. When they played the Club Tattoo Party and they were jamming, and I had met Cheese and I hadn't seen him in 10 years. So, and I was talking to Sean from Club Tattoo and I was like, that guy's name's Cheese, right? And he's like, yeah, that's Cheese. And I'm like, oh man, I know him. I knew him back in the days when I was in the early 90s in LA when I was there and was working for this other band. And he was a part of that. He was working with the Hustler and so he'd hang out in Hollywood all the time because that's where we lived. I lived right on Larrabee and Sunset and he was always around. So that's how I remember him. And then I said, after the show, I was like, dude, let's bring them in for some shows. Because they had just started. I remember DJ wasn't even Rocky Rock, it was this other guy. And they were badass. They were sponsored by Etnies. They were throwing Etnie shoes out and just a bunch of swag out at the Club Tattoo Party. And they were just different and just badass. It was cool as hell. They were like nobody else. It's kind of like you guys. And you guys are not like anybody else. You know what I mean? At the beginning when I saw you guys, I was like, dude, this is sick.
And that's the thing I was saying. Like, I know I was talking about this guy's like an asshole. He's trying to get us all these tickets. Like, now looking back at it, I see that you like believed in the band and you knew that we could be getting on bigger national act shows. Cause I remember you having a conversation with me early on. Like we were probably 18 or something. We were like, yo, dude, you guys can do two things. Just like do whatever you want. Like if you don't want to sell the tickets, fine. But like if you want to get on big national act shows, you guys need to stop playing bars and like shitty gigs every week or every 2 weeks. And you need to sell the tickets I give you. And this will lead to me being able to get you guys on other shows. And you weren't managing us at the time. You were just like a promoter that saw like what we could be. And
we were making him a little bit of money, probably.
Bro, if you would not have done that, yeah, if you didn't do that at the time, I just think it was like when I look back on the beginning of the band, it was a very essential step in like us building our own fan base. Yeah, I really do think that
you were like, you guys got to stop playing at these Mexican restaurants.
Yeah, that was a real conversation.
You were right,
but you were willing to like also. You were willing to take risk, and it's like what leveled us up in our hometown markets on like, hey, our next headlining show is going to be at the Marquee Theater, and we didn't really have the numbers yet to play it of any of that size, but with our relationships with Donnie, who we were talking about earlier, who was running a ton of stuff at Marquee at the time, and Tom, who owns Marquee, we're just like, no, we're just going to do it, and we'll take a door deal, and it could, and like with your relationship, they were willing to like take the risk, and we were willing to take the risk, and then it would be like, next thing you know is we're worth more in our hometown than any other local band was. And it was just all leveraging the relationships you have and also just working and like always trying to go bigger and like just hoping it worked out, and it would.
I remember that first show that I got you guys a guarantee. I think it was just $1,000. You guys were so happy. And
we probably spent it that night.
No, you guys needed it for rent because we prepaid you. For when you guys lived in Huntington Beach, you guys asked if you get the money, so we prepaid you for the show like 2 weeks prior. And
were you not managing us when we moved to Huntington?
When you guys moved back is when I started.
You started managing us right before we moved back to Arizona, because the reason we moved back to Arizona is because you got us on the 2014 Dirty Heads tour?
No. That wasn't it. You guys were just like, I think you guys were just done at that point, and you're like, we're coming back. We're going to leave our apartment 1 month early. I'm like, don't do it. Stay another month, which kicked you guys in the ass in the end. You know what I mean? We ended up having to pay that to get that off your credit.
My credit didn't get better until like 2 years ago.
Same. So I remember that. So I started.
Luckily, I wasn't on the lease.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed to be on the lease because you were a felon.
No, I wasn't.
No, I remember that. So you guys were coming back, and what I got you on was on that the KUKQ show at Mesa Amphitheater. Remember, it was inside. The smaller stage was actually on Mesa Amp stage, and the bigger stage was outside with God, who was it with?
Bad Religion and AWOL Nation.
AWOL Nation, that's right. Yeah. And you guys came back for that. It was right before that.
That damn show.
Damn show.
No,
that's
the
right.
sweater one
that
was
the KG Elephant one.
KG Elephant.
Okay.
Yeah, that was later. That was when Brian jumped on board too and helping manage. But you guys came back and moved back then, and you played that show, and that's when everything started. And then I kind of jumped in, and I remember calling Cheese. I'm like, dude, you got to take these guys. You got to pick them up. And he was like, no. And he's like, I just don't have the time, man. He's like, you need to do it. You should do it. I'll help you. And he's like, when I started, you have more contacts and more experience coming into a management position than I did when I first started managing. He's like, I'll walk you through everything and I'll do everything. I was like, all right, cool. So, I mean, it was right after that and that was, I think, that happened in May, I think it was. You guys moved back. I remember you guys came back at the end of April. Your lease was up at the end of May. And the show was like at the 1st of May. You guys just came back and said, fuck it. And there's one fuck.
2.
And you guys came back, and I remember remember I got Joe from the Funk Junkies was helping. He got us the PA, and you guys played outside of Channel 12 the day before.
Oh, I forgot about
dude,
that, yeah.
because I live 5 minutes from downtown now. I drive by that all the time now and see it and laugh at that. Like, yeah, that's really
But it was cool as hell. You guys played outside. It was a cool thing. What is the 2 people? The guy's still there. He's been there forever. Both of him and the girl, was their name something Tram. Anyway, you guys played that, and I remember putting it on. It was on the news, and it literally looked like you guys were headlining Mesa Amphitheater. The way they put it up, it looked cool as hell. Then the next day was the show, and we did that, and you guys stayed there. So I was kind of working on things, and then we got the Iration tour.
It was like 5 days.
It was only
Texas.
5 days. Yeah. They were routing to the East Coast for a tour they were on Revolution, I think is what it was.
Is that the tour your friend did merch, Aaron?
My friend was our tour manager, and he just got blacked out every single night. And then
that's what I remember about that tour.
So
That's also the run that Andy just said the wrong cities, correct?
Yeah, and he fell over my drum set on stage.
Oh, he did trip
too.
also,
He
yeah.
tripped. Well, no, he tripped on his boot. His like boot that was all messed up.
yeah, he had these like Steve Madden boots that he was obsessed with, and the bottom of the like sole was falling off of him, and he was wearing them out, and the thing would just like flop every step he took. I'm like, dude, you can't wear that. You're gonna fall. He's like, no, they're sick. Like, they look so cool. And then he just ate shit in the middle of the
He was like, anything for
yeah, we were like in Dallas. He's like, thank you, Houston. And they were like, boo. And then he just falls. And it was rough. Those were good
back
shows.
Over,
though.
yeah, those 5 Iration shows, I think, is really what kind of kicked a lot off. Just being able to promote those. It looked good. It was a good look. And then once we got those, literally like a week or two later, you know, I saw the Dirty Heads post that tour. It was Dirty Heads Pepper and Air. And I just kept hounding cheese. He always tells me, he's like, don't ask, don't get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's his phrase always. Don't ask. Quit bugging me, but you don't ask, you don't get. And he was like, I think we might be able to do a 1 of 4 for you guys on the whole tour. I was like, oh shit, okay, cool. And then they announced Red Rocks. And he texts, he's like, you're going to get an email. I'm like, holy shit, okay. And then I got an email from Corey Christopher, I remember, and you got the whole tour, offering the whole tour. I remember posting on Facebook. I just yes is what I think I posted on whatever it was.
Bro, I remember exactly where I was and what I was doing when you called me and told us that we got that tour, because that's the biggest news Katastro had ever gotten to that point.
Yeah,
in our lives. Like, dude, that was the fattest tour. We couldn't even believe it. I was standing in one of those banks in like the grocery store to deposit like $100 check from like the restaurant I was working at, and I was so broke. And I remember not having a good day, and you called and said, I got you guys a full Dirty Heads tour. You're playing Red Rocks on the tour too. And I remember just feeling like yes, finally something good has happened.
Yeah, no, and then that whole tour was awesome. It was one of the most stressful sitting at home. Because then remember, Jim bought you guys that van.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was like breaking down every day.
My grandpa.
The first fucking day of leaving, you guys broke down and the window broke, and then
the windows fell down.
Yeah,
and then didn't the AC break?
The AC broke. No, yeah. So what happened was we leave for tour.
You guys didn't even make it a Flagstaff.
We're 20 minutes out of town, I think, and it's the middle of summer. It's like 110 degrees out, and our AC just kind of stops working. And we're like, damn, what do we do? And so we turned around, stopped at a shop. They're like, I think we like fixed it, whatever. We go again. We get maybe 45 minutes out. The AC shuts down again. And so we are like, all right, we have to roll down the windows. He has to press the window down button. All the windows just fall into the door.
Yeah,
they won't come back up. And then we had to pull over, and they went to go fix the window, I think. But
no, Tim did it. Remember, you guys had to put
a screwdriver the whole tour, just going in through there. And then, did we like stop in another place again?
Well, I don't know if you guys remember this, but this mechanic that my mom used,
that's the guy that worked on the whole thing,
and he drove by us while that happened.
Oh,
he was driving right next to us somehow.
He had to put the trailer hitch on. Remember, he put the trailer hitch on. That's what it was.
Yeah.
He worked on that and kind of did just like a quick overhaul.
Oh yeah, well.
Yeah, and so we realized like immediately we're gonna have to do this whole tour without air conditioning, and it was 110, and we're all sitting in this van in our boxers, just like, oh my god, this is miserable. But it was as soon as the windows fell down, it starts raining. It was like pouring.
It started raining right when the window fell
so
down.
it's like 110 degrees. The windows fall down. It starts raining inside our van, and then like later on, we were getting all these like problems with the vehicle where like it starts breaking down. The starter goes out, and we call the mechanic, and he's like, "You need speaker wire, and we need to run speaker wire from the starter to the engine." And so every time we had to start this car, we'd turn the keys on halfway. You have to press the brakes 3 times in order to move the shift gear, because it wouldn't move unless you did this.
I'm getting anxiety
and then
again.
Somebody has to stand outside and zap the battery with the fucking cables. And I remember,
end of the day, dude, thank God Tim, which, you know, Dirty Heads call him Toolbox, was there, because he saved everything.
We straight up would not have made it through that tour without Tim. He was the only one that knew anything about cars. He's the only one that knew how to drive a trailer. We were just like little kids that didn't know anything.
I mean, that's most our tours, honestly. Like, he would put the chains on, you know, if we were in snow. Like, we didn't know how to do any of that.
It amazes me we made it through that tour.
And then he now he's worked for the Dirty Heads for like the last 8 years or something.
Longer than that. It's been a while.
Dirty Heads stole him shortly after that from us.
I remember they played a show here, and it was his first tour, and I picked up Jared and John. I took him over to cryo to go do cryo freeze, and I was driving. I'm like, "So how's Tim doing?" And Jared in the backseat says, "You're not getting him fucking back."
I remember being like, God damn it, like, because we kept losing like staff because it sucked work for us. We didn't make any money, and we were sharing. You know, we're sleeping in the van.
No, or
Tim was actually doing
room.
merch that tour.
Tim was doing merch.
One,
yeah,
it was merch.
On good nights, we got one hotel room that 6 people could sleep in.
Yeah, 3 of us were vegan, and we would eat just pizza with nothing on it, like no cheese. It was just like
that's funny.
Like
on
Domino's
the shows at the clubhouse, you guys would always day of, "Hey man, you text me or call me. Can you get us pizza tonight?" Like, yeah, I'll give you pizza, which was cool at the clubhouse, man. I mean, I missed that place. That place was.
This was shit.
I think that was I mean, it was whatever, but the place was fantastic. There's so many shows, so many good shows there.
I have so many good memories in that place.
I mean, I saw some crazy shit in there. You know what I mean? Crazy shows.
Grace worked there. Daniel worked there. Like the sound.
That's
people
where Grace. Grace started
Lawrence.
at the Marquee.
Matt Lawrence.
Yeah.
Oh,
Matt Lawrence. Yeah, which went over to Dirty Heads.
Pretty much every sound person at the clubhouse, which is this shitty 200-person venue, went to
500. It was like 5.
It was 500. No.
Yep. Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was 500-person venue.
Don't sell yourself short like that, bro. That was our first sold out show at the clubhouse.
That's true. But yeah, like they all went on to work with the biggest artists. Like Matt Lawrence was touring with like Lauryn Hill forever, and Grace did
Jimmy
Sublime with Rome and all those people.
Now.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Daniel is still. I ran into him at Coachella, and he was like working for I remember he was on tour with like Troye Sivan for a long time. So it was weird because in Arizona there's a like well-known school for like audio. And so we kind of got lucky that we were always surrounded by like really good audio engineers.
Yeah. It's crazy how many people in the business behind the scenes are from Arizona still. I mean, forever it was just everybody on tour was from Arizona. There was times where I think the Iration tour one time was literally a whole entire Arizona crew. So it's cool that happened a lot.
They're still about half Arizona, I think. Last time I saw them, I was like, everybody, they're like, do you want to just roll with us and we'll drop you off at home? We have to take like 10 people to Arizona after this.
Yeah, so once we got that Big Dirty Hits tour, we come home, and I remember that's when we were able to start throwing headlining shows at the Marquee because the clubhouse had shut down because of the whole Nipsey Hussle show, right?
Yeah.
What do you remember about that?
The whole Nipsey Hussle thing?
Yeah.
I wasn't there, thank God, that night. Something happened out front.
I think like 13 people get shot in the venue?
There. I think it was one of the biggest shootings in Tempe, Arizona.
That's wild.
And
and proof, like Eminem's collaborator had been like shot at there years before, I think. They kind of had like a little bit of a history of
great spot.
It was really cool.
Great family.
In all reality, it was fine until there was a hip hop show. I mean, I'm not dogging on that. It's just that's what happened every time. So.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But it was cool, and you got to, I think, going off of that, the Dirty Heads tour, that's when you guys got close with the Pepper guys, and you saw it, and Yasad hit up. I remember Yasad hitting me up saying, "Hey man, we're interested in doing the next album," and that's kind of where a lot of stuff where you were able to, I think, separate from being a local band, because then you started touring all the time with everybody. You know, I remember you guys got that tour. You got the Winter Blackout tour with Expendables, I think was the second one you got. So, I mean, it started really, tour. That one was rough. I remember Andy texting me all the time, I'm not doing this shit again, because you guys were just freezing your ass off.
Dude, it was negative 20 degrees out, and like our van would break down every night, and we're driving on ice, and we had crew members that weren't getting along with us. It was just like everything that could go wrong was going wrong on that one.
It was the Iration and then Dirty Heads tour that really just kind of kicked things off and just really separated you guys from being just a local Arizona band, you know what I mean? And everything started getting bigger from there. Social media started getting bigger. That's kind of when Spotify kind of started kicking up. And I mean, your guys' numbers for a band your size for Spotify were pretty big, you know what I mean, considering the size you guys were. I think that changed a lot, and kind of it just went from there and hasn't stopped.
What was our first headlining tour? Was it the Strange Nights?
Think so.
Yeah, 2016.
Yeah, who was on that one?
Mouse Powell.
On the first one?
That's the one we brought Mouse with. Yeah, it was our first headlining tour. He did merch for us and played before us every night.
Dude, I remember shows where I was embarrassed to play it, but then he had to play first.
Yo, we were talking about this the other day with Mouse.
Yeah.
We played in Humboldt County.
Yeah, we played in Humboldt County.
Oh. Literally
not our crowd at all for our music, and everybody is like, they're all in town just like Trim Weed, and they're thinking that they're going to go see a reggae band. And it went over so poorly for them. Like, they did not like us. And
no, hold on. No, dude. When Mouse played, well, sure, there was maybe 10 people when we played. Yeah. But when Mouse went on stage, there literally was no one there. It was the sound guy, and all of us came out of the green room, all four of us,
and we stood
band members, and we stood right in front and watched Mouse's set, and it was so funny.
I remember him being like, "Can I just not do this?" And we're like, "No, you have to." Perform.
Yeah, there was no one in the venue, and we told him he still had to play.
Wasn't it Mouse in Tyrone's jacket?
No, that was
Aloha Radio.
So
Tyrone's jacket. That was the Wash tour.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But it's so funny you brought that up, because Mouse brought that up the other day when we were talking about it. How he played literally just in front of Katastro.
Yeah.
He did merch for you guys the second time when you guys got that small, was the second Dirty Heads Red Rock show. You guys got like 5 shows before that too.
Yeah, because we brought him on stage.
And he got to play on Red Rocks that one, with Andy. And what was it? Which one was it?
Was it on the cover when we would cover When I'm Small?
No, it was
Snoop Dogg.
Oh, it was Lou Reed.
No,
it was a Lou Reed mashup with Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
Right?
So, and I remember we were sitting in the green room, and you guys didn't tell him yet, or he said didn't know if it was going to happen, and he was going back and forth to merch, and you can tell he just wasn't. He hated doing merch, dude.
Yeah.
And but then you told him, and his whole mood changed. It was pretty badass. I remember that. That second show was, I think, The first Red Rock show I'd love to talk about because you guys always say the wrong story every time. You say that you
set
guys
the record straight, dude. Our
memory
memory is trash.
So we get there and it's fine. It's fucking Denver, man. You never know. And we're there. We're getting set up. All the techs knew you guys already, so they were cool. And I remember it started raining, and it wasn't like raining, but it was sprinkling pretty heavily. And I remember you guys were about to go on, and I remember the doors were at 6, you guys were on at 6:30, and it was getting close. And I remember standing there and I talked to the production guy and I'm like, so are we going to push the set? And the guy's standing there with his arms crossed. He's like, nope, we play in the rain at Red Rocks. And you guys went on and you played, but you guys, like Tanner's pedal board, they had a trash bag over it.
My amp too.
Your amp, yeah.
Put a bag over it.
And
I thought our set got cut a little bit though.
No,
I think we just went on later.
No, you
By
guys
choice?
went on time. It was a 30-minute set. You guys just played in the rain. But at the same time, I still to this day remember seeing Stravers just playing drums and he looked over to the side of me raining. Just a big old giant smile on his face the whole time.
Yeah.
So it was dope. And I think that show changed the band and fan base. Because, I mean, everybody got into it. It was cool. It was probably half full at the time. Usually a 1 of 4 at Red Rocks is a little iffy sometimes, you know, on the crowd. But what was cool about seeing that too is seeing the Denver people at Red Rocks, it was all fine. And it was all fine. And then it started raining and then everybody just raincoated up. Like it was like, oh shit, it's raining. And then everybody was in raincoats. It was like crazy. Yeah. And everybody was still happy. Everybody was into it. No one knew who you guys were and just people were digging it. That whole vibe at Red Rocks is just, I mean, that place changed my life 100%. Dude. In general, just myself, not necessarily as my career. I mean, career, it's definitely happened as a manager and being able to book bands. I got 5 shows I booked there with bands I've worked with, 3 of you guys, one with Mouse and then another one. And, but just the vibe, I love that place.
You were talking about that the other day, how like it's not normal. Like everyone that goes to that venue is there to just experience who is on stage and they're just like open and they're just like ready for like, I'm ready to like check out this new artist.
You're not going to catch a whole crowd of people with crossed arms. It's like they're there to have a good time, which you never understand. It's like we play shows in Texas, I think was like usually the worst for us on that, where
that was a definitely rough market.
You play your set and like half the crowd's there for you, but they just stand with their arms crossed.
You got to win them over a little bit more.
You have to like prove yourself to them. But
and even that last Mouse show, we were in his green room and I was staring out at like the line and everybody's sitting there waiting in just the rain with all their coats on. Like they don't give a shit.
That was gnarly that day, waking up to snow. It was just, that was a stressful day. But again, Red Rocks and the end result was fantastic,
Yeah, I mean, those shows definitely changed stuff for us. Like we have friends in huge bands now that have still never played Red Rocks and they've been bands for 15, 20 years.
It's not a normal thing to have be able to say that you played it 3 times, and it's like a lot of it has to do with the scene, but it's always related to Cheese and you working that.
Every single one's related to Cheese that I got. So
for people listening that don't know much about inner workings of the music industry, ideally you have like a booking agent and that booking agent gets you on tours that, you couldn't get yourself through the connections that you have. For the history of Katastro being a band, our fattest shows have been from Gonzo hitting people up and your connections with like, getting us on these fat shows. And like you said, what she said to you, if you don't ask,
don't ask, don't get.
Yeah. So it's like, it's, I don't know. Me and Ryan have talked about this on the podcast before, but like our connections and relationships and like personal friendships with people in the industry is what has led to the biggest opportunities that we've ever had, being the band that like other bands want to hang out with. And, I'm sure it's very similar in your world as a manager. I feel like it's all about the connection and the relationships you have with people.
100%. It's definitely relationship based. And I think a lot of when you're talking about the early shows when, not playing just stupid shows, because I told so many bands the same thing, not as probably heavy as you guys, but I told a lot of bands, I'm like, dude, you guys got to quit playing these fucking shows, man. It's like you're not relevant, and it's the truth. And end of the day, you guys are the only ones left that are still going and actually have a career out of it. And I'm not saying I knew everything, but I think I kind of knew everything, so.
But it's true because it's like you have to be willing. Like you get caught in the cycle of like, all right, we need to play at this bar because we need money, but you have to get to this point where, people aren't going to come to your headlining shows that are actually going to like be promoting your career, or like anytime you're opening up for other artists, they're not going to buy a $25 ticket to see you open up for 311 if they can catch you next week at Makayo's. And not that I'm not thankful, because like we did play at Makayo's for like a long time because we were saving up to buy like a van, I think, and Jeff Rhodes.
Shout out Jeff Rhodes.
Oh yeah, we were saving up to move to California, and Jeff Rhodes, who was like the GM of Makayo's Depot Cantina in Tempe at the time, was like, he like offered to pay us pretty much exactly what we needed to move over the next. Like he just wanted to help us, but we had to go there and perform.
You guys played like weekly, didn't you, for a while?
Yeah.
He'd pay us generously when there was literally no one on the patio watching us. He just like really believed in us as kids, and that's.
So he still hits us up, like just maybe like a couple weeks ago, I got a text from him, and like
I actually still play there.
Yeah.
Is that why you've been unavailable on Saturdays and Sundays?
That's why I have it blocked out in the calendar.
Got you. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's for the buckets of Dos Equis.
For the Dos Equis.
You know where some other shows were dope that back then? The Martini Ranch shows.
Oh yeah,
those were fun. That's when Ryan went down that one time. Remember, that was on the Pacific Dub Tour.
And that's when my cousin Michael Stravers was the GM there.
Yeah,
and he would always like take care of us when we played there and give us like
That was a different vibe. It was more of a. Because it was a club and it was Scottsdale, I think it was more of a party. And that's what I did. I was throwing the Club Chaos parties with Rick, my buddy Rick. And that's when I was able just to pay you guys a flat fee. You didn't have to sell tickets for those. But those parties were dope. I mean, it was on Thursday nights, and those good things would go off. It was, I had a good run there, which was cool. That was fun. That was that was a lot of the funnest time of my life, throwing those parties there and throwing shows all through the early 2000s. It was cool as hell.
Hell yeah. What's it been like for you watching us on the outside of watching us from the outside while we're finishing up this album, and what's been your take on just like, obviously it hit you just as hard as it hit us when Andy passed away, but what's your perspective on just like the way we've been working to get through this? And
all these years of being in this business, I've been in the business since, I started playing on stage in 1989, so I pretty much started there, and 20 years or whatever, what it was. I mean, maybe even 25 years of working and doing everything, and there's nothing has set me up for what happened with Andy.
Yeah,
and this whole thing, and it was the most terrifying time of my life. And I mean, at a certain point, I hope this doesn't sound bad, I think I've told you guys, but at a certain point when it happened, I was like, fuck, is my career over? Am I done? You know what I mean? Because I was just working with you guys, and it was scary as hell. When we first got those first ones back from when you guys went and wrote with Jared and Duddy, that first, link that you sent with it. I mean, I don't remember what the first song on it was, but it just was like, God damn. You know what I mean? It was, I didn't know what was going to go on. I honestly didn't know how you guys were going to do this. I mean, you guys have done a fantastic job of what you did with this album. And
yeah, I would imagine, like for the entirety of you managing our band, in a lot of ways, your job was to put out fires. And when something bad would happen, I know we all give you shit all the time and have for years, but like even in the early days, bro, like I remember you like sending me $100 for groceries, like when we were like super broke and came home from a tour, or like you not taking cuts on merch after a tour because you knew we were in a shitty position and didn't have any money. So it's like, I think in a lot of ways your job was like to fix things. And so when everything did go down with Andy, I would assume it was this like really difficult thing of like, oh, I need to fix this, but like it's something that's
fucking fix it, dude.
Yeah.
It was one of the worst parts of my life, not only losing Andy, which Andy was the biggest pain in my ass. 100%. I mean, he was everybody's pain in the ass.
If, like, let's just be real. Like, if anyone...
And he gave me more shit than fucking anybody. Like, hard. Like, all the time.
And that's impressive, because I feel like I give you a lot of shit.
Oh, no, dude. Nothing compared to that. Well, it's changed over the last 2 years, so... But, I've always been, I mean, if anything, a manager is, put out fires, fix it, make shit happen. I couldn't fix this one. And in all reality, you guys fix it. And we're not fixed, but I mean, I think this whole album is, I mean, I've been a part of it and I've made shit happen and do what we got to do on my side as a manager, but you guys did this album. And
we couldn't do this shit without you though, bro. I mean, so many bands would love to take credit for everything that's happening and like, oh shit, yeah. We would be nothing without you and the other people that have like helped us along the way. And, yeah, bro.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But I just can't wait until this album's out and people hear it.
Well, at the time, because I know we're pre-recording these, but Muse is out right now.
Yeah, it's actually out right
albums.
now.
So
yeah, how do you feel about Muse?
Oh man, that song just. I mean, when I heard it originally, it was weird, because it was out. You guys had it done before Andy died, and it was amazing. It was just cool. I'd send it off to Silverback and show them. Everybody was so excited, and bringing it back, I think was the smartest thing you guys could ever did, and putting what you put into it. I think like we all talk about, that song's gonna. I really feel this song's can be at weddings. You know what I mean? It can be on movies. I really think it's that song that's just can be a lot of montages and shit in certain situations. But that song, it's like, God damn it, it's like he knew something was gonna happen when he wrote this fucking song. I'm gonna start crying.
Play Muse now. I'm just joking.
But I mean, the way he fuck. Sorry.
It's all right, bro. I cry on the podcast all the time.
I feel, everything and all the words in that song, man, are just, it's like he knew something was going to happen or it was coming or something, but it's just a fantastic song.
And it's crazy because I feel like you could hear that stuff in a lot of the songs, not just that one.
Yeah, there's messages and lyrics in a lot of the songs that really give you this feeling of like how he like subconscious, like somehow knew that like his moment was coming. And
yeah, it's just, everything changes, like all the meanings. Like one song could originally be about partying, you think, and then after the fact you're like, oh, this is about something completely different to me now, which I think is what's so important, is that people are going to be able to take what they want and what they need out of each song, hopefully. But
the fans are gonna just freak. Well, they're freaking. I guess it's out already. Yeah. If any songs on this album, this song is for the fans and for Andy's family and for all of us, you know what I mean? But it is that song. It's the last song, written by and recorded by all four of you at the same time.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited about it.
It's going good. I'm already there.
Yeah. That's right. It's on the radio everywhere.
It's not going to hit ourselves, guys.
Just, all the songs that are on the album, I don't know how many times we changed our mind on what's going first or what's going second. And it's changed probably 10 times is what our thought was, just because things keep changing and people we're working with are like, no, this is better and it's going to be best. And, but again, this album, I've always been, I can listen to Katastro all the time. I always have, you know what I mean? Katastro's been a part of my family.
Yo, we've been a fart for you too, for sure.
It's been a part of my family forever. My daughter worked with us for, on the last two albums, she would proofread all the verbiage on it to make sure it was done correctly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Lorenzo's been backstage his whole life, basically at Katastro shows.
He's been drum teching for you since he was probably 8 years old, and it's probably better than a lot of people.
No, truly. Like, I tried to teach Andy for 16 years how to set up a hi-hat stand, and sadly, he just truly never learned how. Lorenzo, he's got it on lock.
Yeah. But I'm excited. And it's bittersweet, I guess, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm excited for everything that's going to happen with the rest of the songs. These songs are fucking ridiculous. Every song on the album is fantastic. And it's its own. Every song is its own. It's like you guys kind of go off of when, you had General Predator was kind of what it was, going into No Mode, No Lotus. It was a certain kind of way you guys wrote the whole album because you guys wrote it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think every album's like that. Washed, I think, changed up to that point changed your guys' career as well, rebranding and coming out. All Andy's, being more honest on his vocals with that whole album. I mean, which was pretty dark, and at the same time, I mean, it is probably my favorite album. I say that for everyone. What am I saying? So, I mean, Washed was fantastic. Sucker, I think, is what catapulted a lot on you guys. You know what I mean? Working with a label that really like pushed well and cared and did let you do whatever you want and backed it. You know what I mean? I mean, we had never had any playlists prior to Sucker and shit. I think we got 13 or 14 total on that whole album, which changed, I think, a lot of the Spotify push and the monthly listeners. And that whole album, again, when you've talked about it many times about Andy wanting it to be more upbeat and more happy, not necessarily upbeat, but more happy and more positive. And that whole album was sick. You know what I mean? It really changed a lot. And
how do you feel this one compares?
Oh, this one 100% is my favorite. I mean, I want to say who the songs are.
No, you can't.
I know. But I mean, there's 5. Everyone we got on this album is family, which is fantastic.
It really is like a big family reunion album.
100%, and we had a lot of people reaching out. I mean, we had probably 20, 30 people saying, hey, we're here for you. If you need us, we'll jump on vocals. And it was great having that support.
That's a lot of funny ones. That I hate to say that, but people come out of the woodworks when someone dies on a public. You start
situation. To wonder. It's like some people just see opportunity when it's like the worst fucking day of your life, and you're just like,
and you're like, hey, dude, maybe give me a week before sending this kind of text message.
Oh, dude, I got a call the 2 days after Andy died from someone. I'm gonna say it out loud. I have a song that Andy's on, and I'm thinking about putting it out. I was like, dude, are you fucking kidding me right now?
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Oh, I got some interesting ones.
Yeah. And
this is kind of segueing into a different topic a little bit, but I do think it's worth mentioning. Yeah, maybe there's just someone out there listening right now that wants to be a manager someday of a band. One of the best qualities I think you do have is your relationship with our fans, like personally. Like over the years, you've really gotten to know some of our diehard fans, whether it's like messaging them through social
media.
100%
family.
Dude, for sure. But like, I think in a lot of ways, the manager of the band doing that, I think means so much more to the fans than a lot of us sometimes think. And like, there's been so many situations over the years where you've gone out of your way to like send a fan a shirt that had something bad happened, or just like getting some fans on the list that didn't end up buying tickets in time, or just
that happened a lot. People are like, God, I just want to go, and they'd been to like 20 shows before, and I'm like, fuck, all right, don't tell nobody, god damn it.
But no, I think that's really cool because the people that like the real diehard fans, they know who Gonzo is because you've like reached out to them at some point and built some sort of relationship with them, which I think is also another key ingredient in like building a fan base for a band. I think having a manager that does that has been an important thing in the career of our
unique.
band.
There's definitely not managers doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think there are a lot of managers that would think like I'm bigger than that, or like I don't have time for that shit, and it's cool.
You somehow have plenty of time for that shit. Then.
No, I do. I honestly like that's something I think about that. I want to give you props for because I think that's really cool, dude.
Thank you. No, man. I mean, this whole thing is. I mean, I'm not a part of the band, but I think I'm a part of the band.
You're a part of the band.
You know what I mean? I know I am, and
we actually, to be honest, the real reason we brought you on the podcast is because we were wondering if you would be down to try out for the band.
What am I going to play?
I heard you singing in the shower the other day.
You're going to be the lead.
I could 100% handle singing.
Andy would be totally cool with you jumping in, dude.
Yeah, you would love that.
Fuck it, we have 2 basses.
You don't want to hear that.
You got to grow your hair back out.
No.
Back from 89.
Yeah. I think
I was born.
Oh, God.
I want to ask you this. If you could fast forward maybe like a couple years from now, what would be like the dream outcome after this after the album gets put out, and just like I don't know, like what are you looking forward to? What do you want to happen?
For myself or for Katastro?
Both, maybe. Everything.
I mean, it's on the Katastro side, it scares me. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie, it does. I mean, it's what are we going to do? And it's not a what are we going to do? We have a plan. We got a couple year plan, but it just sucks that it's the end. It's the last album. That's the thing that I think that hurts more. I mean, I just miss Andy so much. I seriously think Andy was going to be one of the biggest rock stars ever. I mean, he was a rock star, and you have all these rock stars saying that, But I mean, I don't know. In all reality, I just wanted to be as positive for the three of you as best possible. You know what I mean? Your guys' is not your career, because you guys got fantastic, can move forward. But I think that just getting taken away after working for 15 years, and then it just kind of, what happened. You can't change it. That scares me most. But I just want to make sure that you guys are set up for the rest of your lives to do what you want to do. And I mean, obviously you guys are doing different things. And for myself, I don't know. Managing Mouse now, hopefully I can do some better, which hopefully I think I've done that a little bit already, making things happen for him. That's a big deal. It's a long road that we got, but to get where you guys are, but it could change quickly. Just my kids, you know what I mean? I see Lorenzo being a part of this business big time. He knows this business more than probably most adults, because he's been a part of it since literally birth. He's already on that track as well. So I don't know, just keep.
What about the Grammys,
positive.
bro? Thought the new album was going to take us to the Grammys.
Oh, dude, I 100%.
He said he was going to take it to his grandmother's.
You must have been using voice to text.
Take it to my Grammys.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've had many conversations with some, people in the business and the industry that really feel. I mean, I think the story, the product that you guys put together, how you had to put it together is just not normal, and it's just fantastic. And the music on every song is just badass. I mean, every song is great. And I don't know. I would love,
Give me my Grammy.
There's one thing that I request. If you guys win a Grammy, I get a fucking talk. I get a talk. So
it's been cool watching what you've done with Mouse, just because Mouse has been such a big part of us, and I see his trajectory already, and just relating it to where we were at, and he's doing all these steps that are super important to become, successful in his own thing. Not that he hasn't been, but it's growing quicker, and he's really listening to everybody's input, and he's taking it to heart, and he's working his ass off to really make a move. And I don't know, I'm proud of him. I'm really glad that you guys linked back up, and I just see a lot of really good things going on for him and for you in the future here. So
yeah, no, Mouse is, he's great. He is fantastic. He can take a crowd. We just played that show with Andy Frasco a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, and he completely took over that crowd. He's able to do that. That's what I love about him. And
he's got a gift with connecting people, or connecting with an audience. And he really knows how to win people.
Where he's at professionally, I think it's kind of the way Cheese said, when I started managing you have more contacts than I did when I started. Mouse jumping into this situation where with me jumping back in a year ago, it's the same situation. He's built professionally. He's there as a business guy. He works hard. You know what I mean? There's no bullshit there, being a little bit older and not, as a kid, it changes. I just think he's right there. I think we have a good opportunity as well. We have a deal talking right now. If that does, I think it's going to change a lot to where, playlists changed a lot on a band like that, or an artist like that. Mm-hmm. And I really think that's the next level. He's been touring for a few years already, but I've gotten some bigger shows for him. And, we have some opportunities coming up already that we've landed that haven't been announced yet. And I'm excited about Mouse, and it's. I try when I'm talking to him not to drop Katastro constantly. Katastro this, Katastro that.
But you've learned so much over the years working with us that it is kind of like a reference point of
Yeah. So I hope that does it. And I tell him all the time, sorry, I keep saying, he's like, no, I don't mind it, but I think there's a huge opportunity for Mouse coming up. So I really hope it. And then you guys helping with the album, on the whole album.
Yeah. Well, he's a part of our world. He's in the camp. I don't know. He's a part of the group, and having him be managed by you too, and people are already seeing holy shit, he's already getting so much in the last a few months, and he hasn't even really been releasing anything. So I'm excited to see once people can hear this album that we've been working on. It's fucking good, and it's done by. Oh, you're on a couple of the songs too, right? Yeah, it's like we're on every single song of that, and so it's kind of cool to like be like, I don't know, kind of pass the torch over to Mouse and let him run with it.
Yeah,
but we're still gonna hold on to the torch for a little while, Mouse. I'm sorry, we got this pretty dope album coming out.
The people we have behind us right now, which I think is gonna change everything as well. You know what I mean? And the kind of what stepping towards this whole project or where we're at now and putting this album out. It's not like I'm not looking at it like, oh, we're doing this last album because it's got to be out. I want to jump right back in where we left off, with Andy and making you guys the biggest band we can. Because that's what it was going. We were right there. So many things were happening. And I just want to take over. I want to jump back into that place of really pushing where you guys need to be just for your guys' futures as well, as mine as well. So
you got to pay that car off.
Yeah.
The car we got you last year.
We got the Iration tour, and I went out and bought that car. I didn't go buy it because we got the Iration tour.
It's about to get repoed. We don't blast off.
You better do a good job on the promotion of our new single Muse, which is out right now.
Now, listen to it.
But yeah. No, man, dude, thank you so much for everything you've done for the band. And we should probably wrap this one up here soon. But you've been such a massive part of our growth, and we've all learned a lot together. We've all made mistakes together, but it's all been together, And so we are super grateful for you, and you've really fucking crushed it on just this album's, releasing and Kamp Fest and all that shit. It's a lot of work that most managers don't really have to do. So,
it's been a lot. It's especially over the last couple of years. It's been a lot, and it's. A lot of managers, I don't think, could stick it out. I think a lot of managers would be like, you know what, this is too much for me. But you never, even after all this stuff and losing Andy, you stuck in it with us, and it's going to be really cool for us to see what comes out of this.
Just real quick on, doing everything you guys said right there. I'm by myself as management. Not now. Now I'm a part of another company, which is fantastic, but the reason I'm able to do what I'm doing is everybody that I know and hooked it up. Brian, Cheese, Christian was a huge part of. We've been close since the beginning of the Dirty Heads days. He was their merch guy, and so many other people just been a part of this and really changed a lot and been there for myself, pushing you guys and helping you guys. So I just want to thank all those people as well. I wish I could name them all, but might be here for a minute. So.
Yeah. Well, if this album flops, it is your fault.
It's all your fault.
Yeah.
Don't ruin my future, Gonzo.
Don't forget that.
Oh my good Lord.
Dope, man. Well, thanks for coming through. It's fun.
Finally, I'm
on.
Love
you, Gonz.
I know.
I love you guys too.